Hello everyone. Today's lecture is on interaction design. If HCI is the whole world of how humans and computer talk, then interaction design is about how we click, swipe, speak, and engage with the technology in a meaningful way. So this is an outline of today's lecture. So interaction design is like um, choreographing between the user and the system. It's not just about how something looks, but how it behaves when you use it. So, what is the goal? The goal is to make the experience intuitive, useful, and enjoyable. So, the tech feels natural, not forced. So here are two big quotations. Priest, Sharp, and Rogers said it's about designing product to support everyday communication and interaction. And on the other hand, Vinogard thinks of it as designing the space where interaction happens. So together, they remind us the interaction design is both practical and philosophical. It's about tools and the spaces they create in our lives. So, dimensions of interaction design, you can think of dimensions as the DNA of design decisions. How should interaction feel fast or careful, serious or playful, minimal or rich? So, the dimensions help us to compare, decide, and shape the experience. There are basically five dimensions, and they were first defined by a professor at London's Royal College of Art. Um, so the dimensions represent the aspects and interaction designer considered when designing interactions. So the dimensions are 1D or words or texts, 2D or visual representation, 3D or physical objects or space, 4D time, and the 5D is the behavior. The goals of interaction design, the ultimate goals are make things usable, create a positive user experience, and support people in achieving their goal effectively. So, if users smile after using a technology, then you are doing it right. So, what do you think? Why this is a bad design? This is a very classic example of a bad design. It's a microwave with too many buttons. So instead of helping, it makes you feel stupid. With more than 20 small buttons, for example, popcorn, pizza, defrost, users are forced to scan through unnecessary functions when um, all they need is a quick way to hit their food. The key functions like start or add 30 seconds are buried among less important ones. So you just want to hit your meal, not solve a puzzle. The marble answering machine, on the other hand, is a example of good design. Have you ever heard of it or use it? So it's like getting voice messages or digital messages as physical marble or that you can play with. So you pick one up to listen and then toss it in another slot to forward. So that's a good example that is natural, playful, and effortless. HCI design focus on creating user-centered, effective, and user-friendly technological systems by understanding user needs, tasks, and context. Key principles include designing for usability and accessibility, conducting usability testing, creating prototypes, and using user personas to ensure interfaces are intuitive, efficient, and safe for a diverse range of users. The process looks simple: need, analyze, design, prototype, and then implement. But in reality, it's very messy and iterative. You loop back, test again, and refine, and the process goes on. This is the heart of interaction design. Recognize what people do well, spot where they are struggling, support them with solutions, and involve them actively when design. So you have to always remember that you have to design with the users, not just for them. So that's the key principle of user-centered design. Norman's model of interaction can help us better understand how interaction and translation of information occurs, what difficulties can arise, and how to prevent them. So it's like a playbook for interaction design. The common terms used in these models are setting a goal, forming an intention, plan for the actions, and then do the actions, pervasive the results, and interpret the results, and then evaluate against your goal. So this cycle explains how humans talk to computers and where miscommunication may happen. Moving on, Norman's model of interaction is also known as the execution evaluation cycle. Is the most influential model so far. According to this model, the user first establishes the goal and then executes action to achieve the goal using the system interface. When the actions have been executed, the system reflects the output on the interface. The user observes the interface and evaluates whether the output is same as the goal. If the goal is achieved, the cycle stops. Otherwise, new goal is formulated and the cycle is repeated until achieving the goal. So there are seven stages of Norman's model. The whole process of interaction explained above can be divided into seven stages: establish the goal, formulate the intention, specify action sequence, execute action, perceive system state, interpret system state, and then evaluate system state. However, Norman's model only shows the user's perspective. Real systems also have internal process errors or quirks. Ignoring those means missing half the story. That's why Abbott and Bale uh, provided an extended model of Norman's model. It adds the system's role with translations between user, input, system, and output. So you can think of it as a two-way conversation rather than a one-sided speech. Core characteristics of interaction design: engage users, define usability goals very clearly, iterate constantly, and the key idea is don't assume, test, and refine again and again. So, what is agronomics? It is where philosophy, I'm sorry, it is where psychology meets design. Arrange controls logically, use colors wisely, consider the physical environment, protect user health and comfort. Because bad agronomics is equal to frustration and fatigue. Interaction style is a broad term referring to how people or system communicate and behave, encompassing human social patterns, HCI methods, and even software design. Also, interaction styles are referred to as the way a user can interact with the computer. So, in our next slides, we will discuss some of the most commonly used styles. Interaction styles are like dialect in the language of computers. Common line interface or CLI is powerful, but it's very geeky. It allows user to directly interact with the computer's process by typing text-based commands. And then menu driven interfaces, they are very easily recognized. It shows available operations as visible options, making it easy to use because users recognize choices rather than remembering them. Then natural language, it's human-like but sometimes messy. It lets the users communicate with the system using normal speech or text. It can understand words and sentences, but it can be ambiguous. One sentence may have multiple meanings. So, moving on to query interface, for example, databases and search. Query interface of user interact by answering questions. It has limited functions, making it suitable for the beginners. Forms and spreadsheets are structured, and it's ideal for everyday workhorses. Form filing interface is where users enter data into fields, can move between fields freely, correct mistakes, and the form checks data before submission. Point and click interface are very simple and visual. Users interact by clicking on icons, images, or links using a mouse or finger. It's easy to use as it requires little typing. Now, WIMP interface, it's a type of GUI or graphical user interface used on desktops and PCs. WIMP basically stands for Windows, icons, menus, and pointers. And then coming to three-dimensional interface, the 3D and immersive interfaces go beyond. From 3D buttons to AR and VR, they turn interactions into experiences you can almost touch. So, where are we headed? AI that adopts to you. Interfaces beyond screens, for example, voice, gesture, wearables, brain computer interfaces, etc. Designs that are not just functional but empathetic, inclusive, and human centered. The future isn't just about better tech, it's about better experience. So that's all for today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will be looking into design principles. Thank you so much, everyone.